Councillor Whit Stennett be and is hereby elected Mayor of the Borough of Trafford for the forthcoming municipal year. All those in favour? Aye.
Pray silence for the worshipful the Mayor of the Borough of Trafford, Councillor Whit Stennett, a member of the most excellent order of the British Empire and a Master of Arts.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Mrs. Mariani. First of all, I would like to introduce you to my mayoress, my wife, Mrs. Gwen Stennett, who I know will give me her undivided support during the forthcoming year, and will now present to her a token of my appreciation. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, members of council, friends and family, Gwen and I would like to welcome you to this celebration of my year in office as Mayor of Trafford, which I am proud and honored to have been selected to do. I would like to take this opportunity of thanking Councillor Mrs. Mariani for all her hard work during the last 12 months. I know it will be a very hard act to follow. I would also like to thank her for giving me many opportunities during the past year as Deputy Mayor to practice for the real thing. In recognition of Mary's good works throughout the past year, on behalf of Trafford, I would now like to present her with her official photograph. It is a clock that she can watch the round instead of pushing about during engagements. Here's that clock. Yes. And it is this clock. Oh. Thank you very much. I would also like to thank Mr. Graham Hall for supporting Mary so well during her year of office. And in appreciation of that, I would like to present him with his badge of office and this photograph. Now, I would like to introduce my Deputy Mayor, Councillor Mrs. Pan Dixon, and the escort for the forthcoming year, Mr. Ian Dixon. Oh, sorry. I do hope that they will both enjoy this year as much as Gwen and I did. And to show my appreciation to them, I would like to present these flowers to my Deputy Mayor. All I have finally to say is, please enjoy this evening. I thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me down here this evening. In my job, you get to go to a lot of functions, a lot of events, and a lot of very worthwhile ones. But I really think tonight is smashing, simply because it's recognising extraordinary things by ordinary people. You know, it's nice to know that you don't have to be a pop star to get an award, you know. It's the fact is you're just a regular person going about your regular day, but just making that massive, massive difference in your community. I understand this is the first year you've done it. Hopefully you're going to make it an annual event. And congratulations not only to the winners, but to the nominees, and well done on the people on recognising those winners and nominees and appreciating what they do, that they did put them forward for the awards. Enjoy your evening.
I am privileged to be able to host the first ever Trafford Civic Awards ceremony. This is a very exciting venture and sure will become more popular year upon year. The recipients of these awards have been selected by a panel of judges with myself as chairman. And I can tell you, it was very difficult to choose the 6 winners we have here with us tonight. They've all made a fantastic contribution in their lives, which you will see from the program, and I applaud them for that. I will now hand you over to Bernard Selby, who will introduce the winners.
Well, what can I say? She's the most wonderful lady in Elmston and District. She's been doing this job for 50 years and never been recognised before. She's absolutely lovely, we all love her. That's all I've got to say.
Down this way. This is the mayor. Look, smile photo.
As you've already said, a lot of people know Eileen McDonald. Certainly every meeting I go to, Eileen's there. One of the reasons I nominated Eileen is because Eileen's been battling with leukemia, and despite that, despite losing her hair, every meeting you went to she was still smiling. And I think Eileen is an inspiration to all of us, and certainly, you know, very unique and deserves this nomination. So, well done, Eileen.
This means a tremendous amount to me. As you know, I did have leukemia, and thank God I've come through it. This is just to show you can come through things, even though you feel really rotten. I had a fantastic hospital, Trafford General. I had marvellous doctors, but most of all, I had my family, Ken, and my friends, and everybody was praying and that, and right across the board. So thank you for helping me to get better.
To everybody. I'm quite honoured, I feel quite honoured actually to be here in front of so many people, but also I'm quite honoured to be in front of a very personal friend of mine, Muriel Parker. I don't know how many people know, but Carborundum was one of the largest employers in Trafford Park, and also it is now probably one of the smallest employers in Trafford Park because it went through massive redundancies. And there was one shining light in that company, and that was Muriel Parker. She was the education liaison officer for the unions there. And in my role as in education, I actually went in there to support there. And what I saw Muriel do was unbelievable, and I mean unbelievable. She cared for people. She was there for people. She organised all the agencies to come in to the people, even the local MP to come in and give help to Carborundum. She stayed there, she was there at 7 o'clock in the morning and she was there at 9 o'clock at night. I know because I saw her. She even involved a family, a daughter, in helping the people at Carborundum. I've never seen anybody with so much compassion and commitment to individuals. And I wish in this day and age that we had a lot more people like Muriel Parker, because she is a star, she's a gem. And when I actually broke the news to her that she'd won this award, because she's now working for me at North Trafford College as a tutor, because I want people like her. And when we actually broke the awards to her, she told me, it's Friday. Well, I can't come off it, because I've got my students to think about. And that's Muriel Parker.
Thank you very much. This is wonderful. I feel very privileged to be here this evening to collect this award. and I thank Trafford Selection Committee for choosing me and thinking that I'm worthy to receive this award. Just a few words about Carborundum. When the administrators arrived at Carborundum last July, they told us to come back, go out, go home, and come back at 3 o'clock, and they'd tell us who would have a job. When we came back, they stood us in a dirty old canteen and called names out. Eddie Parker going, Matt Bowe going, and the list went on. Very few people were kept on at Carborundum. It was heartbreaking. Everybody was breaking down and crying. People that had done 20, 30 and 40 years service for that company, and they were treated appallingly. Redundancy payments were left to the state, basic redundancy, and we still don't know what's happened to the pension. What I do have to say is we have somebody in the audience here, Bev Hughes, MP for Stretford. And Bev came in and supported the unions to speak to the company, who were not very approachable for her, but she did her best to try and save Carborundum. And unfortunately, it didn't happen for us. Many people were left out on the street. I do have to say, a lot of companies came in to support us. Companies like St Anthony's Centre in Trafford Park, North Trafford College, who supported us for the last 4 or 5 years with training, education and support. Individual support. We had training providers coming in and offering their services to give people something, a future. Many of those people did get a job from this, but I do have to say, I bumped into somebody the other day who had worked for Carborundum for many years and was dedicated to Carborundum. He still hasn't got a job. So, if there's anybody out there that needs a good administrator, see me later. I do have to say, that's a teacher coming out in me. On a personal level, I would like to thank my mum and dad and my husband Chris for supporting me through a traumatic time. And my daughter Sarah, who would come into work with me at 6:20 in the morning, put her head on the table and nod off for 2 hours. Great support, Sarah. No, seriously, she was wonderful. And finally, I have to say a very special thank you to Jane Blakey. She has supported me over the last 5 years. She's trained me, educated me. I was on the factory floor. I'm now a tutor at the college, taking training and education, education, education. Thank you very much, everybody.
I had to nominate Kirsty because all her efforts are realised by the family, and now luckily they've been realised by Trafford. Kirsty's mum is profoundly deaf, and we all take for granted that we're sat in the doctors and the name is shouted out over the tannoy, or at stations, airports, public places where there is a tannoy, your name's announced or flights are announced, things like that. If you can't hear it, you miss a plane or miss a train. And Kirsty helps them up like this. And supermarket checkouts, she helps them on with the girls on the checkout and things like that. But she is actually her mum's ears. And dare I say, she's mummy's little helper. And I'm very proud to put her name forward, and even more proud that she has won this award.
Are you going to say a few words first? Oh, you're not going to say a few words. I'm sure we can encourage you to do. Okie dokie.
As as you may have noticed when we're presenting the awards tonight, we've also been handing over an envelope to our winners, which contains a little something to treat themselves for, something special to remember the night by. But Kirsty, I'm told you like football. I don't know if anyone's mentioned to you. Any football fans here tonight? Yeah. How much would you give? Would you give your right arm for Champions League final tickets? See, Kirsty, she's got some. Well done.
And you're absolutely brilliant.
I've known David and Lindsay, his wife, who couldn't be here unfortunately tonight, for over 12 years. We met through a diving club. This was before David lost his sight. We did some diving together and also played octopus, underwater hockey. David has managed to play this even when he lost his sight. Don't ask me how, or how he manages to do archery. You'll have to ask him yourself. As you can see from the awards booklet, David's problem is not just his lack of sight. He has a life-threatening illness which affects his body at cell level. But as an ex-serviceman, David was entitled to support from St Dunstan's, who encouraged the already existing competitive streak in David by suggesting he take up archery in 1999. Unfortunately, in 2001, David suffered another health setback and was in a coma and intensive care. Following this, his main problem was that he had to change the bow style because of the weakness in his muscles. But despite all this, in 2002, he was second in the British Blind Sport National Outdoor Archery Championships. Woo! And in 2003 won the BBS National Indoor Championships with a new national record and subsequently selected for the British squad.
I would like to thank the panel for nominating me or accepting the nomination for me for this achievement. Not just for myself and my desire to live, but also for all disabled people out there in the community. If you're given the opportunity and the encouragement and the chance to do things, then you can achieve. And you don't have to sit back and do nothing. And you can achieve alongside, dare I say, normal people and live a day-to-day life and still win. And that's the most important thing, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
2.5 years ago, Edgar had a massive stroke which deprived him of the use of his legs, but unfortunately not the use of speech or mind. Edgar spent 14 weeks in Burton House and was only released because he made such a fuss that they thought it was easier to let him go than to keep him in the ward. During this time, he was told that he was unlikely to walk again. This brought out some of Edgar's basic qualities: grit, determination, and an obstinate desire not to be beaten. During the last 2 years, he's gradually moved from using crutches to walking with 2 sticks, and now to 1. He walks every day about a mile around the roads where he lives. Another of his qualities is his humour. Until recently, he was church secretary at our Hale United Reformed Church. It was thus his duty to give the announcements in worship each week. It's not often that the notices are a highlight of the services, but Edgar never failed to give the notices with touches of wry humour, often raising not just smiles but real hearty laughter. I wish I had the time to tell you some of his jokes, but I wouldn't be able to do them justice. Which brings me to the third quality Edgar possesses: humble, cheerful, and entirely unpompous Christian witness. It's not fashionable these days to make much mention of religion, I know. But for me and for all his friends, Edgar's quiet, unassuming faith is an encouragement and an inspiration. He still takes a full and active part in the life of our church. When I tell you that last year Edgar's wife died after a noble struggle against cancer, only a few days before his daughter's wedding, and that he thus has now to look after himself, I'm sure that you will agree with me that his qualities of grit, cheerfulness and quiet faith have made him someone who richly deserves this award.
Sorry for the delay, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank all concerned for presenting me with this award. I feel honoured and privileged. I would also like to thank the Reverend Brian Jackson for nominating me and for the kind things he said about me. Your cheque is in the post, Brian.
See what I mean?
I feel highly flattered to receive this award because I feel that my reaction to my difficulties has been no more than anybody else would have done in a similar situation. But I'm also aware that I should feel very grateful to many people who've helped me and given me words of encouragement. And in this particular connection, I would like to thank my family, my friends, the members of the National Health Service who look after me, the people in the neighbourhood where I live, that's the Well Green area of Hale, and also the members and friends of Hale United Reformed Church. Many people say from time to time that there's an awful lot of bad people about, and that there's an awful lot of bad people in Trafford. This may be true, but from my recent experiences, I found there's an awful lot of good and kind people. Thank you all.
Edgar, you're a gentleman.
Good evening, everybody. There's a little award now. It's a community award, a civic award, but it's a bit unusual because usually when the Mayor of Trafford comes back after their year, they tell the rest of us what a wonderful time they've had meeting all the people in Trafford and all the achievements that they see at community events and civic events. And this year, Councillor Mary Harney, who's the retiring Mayor, she said that the good in Trafford was so palpable you could almost touch it, that there were so many good people and so much good going on, that really what we wanted to do is say thanks to Whit for, in a way, sharing with the rest of us some of that achievement, some of that commitment, some of that caring that we've seen this evening of the people of Trafford. And so these awards are a first, and Whit took a bit of a risk really, having this as his first civic event. It is a first, it's the first time we've done it, and we hope that you'll spread the word that it is a good thing to be nominated, and that even next year the judges will find it even more difficult because they'll have even more nominations. What I've got here is a small presentation to Whit, which is unusual at the beginning of his year, but Whit's like me, he's a cricket lover. And when I saw this, I couldn't resist it because I thought of Whit immediately. And for those of you who are cosmopolitan and go to the big city in London, you'll know that they do poems on the Underground. And there was a poem on the Underground for Viv. For the uninitiated, for cricketer Vivian Richards. And I'll read the poem to you, and I bought the poem and I had it framed for Whit, so that he can have it in his parlour room. Because I know he's passionate about cricket, and it's one of the achievements he feels is having his civic year begin in the cricket club. So that's a good high point. And the poem reads, for Viv, like the sun rising and setting, like the thunderous roar of a bull rhino, like the sleek, quick grace of a gazelle, the player springs into the eye and lights the world with fires of a million dreams, a million aspirations. The batsman hero climbs the skies, strikes the earth ball for 6, and the landscape rolls with the ecstasy of the magic play. Through the covers, the warrior thrusts a majestic cut, lighting the day with runs. As bodies reel and tumble, hands clap, eyes water, and hearts move inside out. The volcano erupts, blows the game apart. And for anybody who's seen Viv Richards, I think that poem is, it makes you feel you're there watching him, the power and the majesty of cricket. So I know that Whit shares that passion, and so this is for Whit to say thank you from all of us for letting us share in your first Civic reception.
Yeah. Deputy Mayor, Mrs. Pamela Dixon, and her consort, Mr. Ian Dixon, the former Mayor, Mrs. Mary Harney, and her consort, Mr. Graham Hall, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This evening marks a defining moment in my life, and with everything that this appointment represents, it is imperative that I start by first and foremost thanking and acknowledging God for His direction, inspiration, and strength. Without His help, I would not be here with you this evening. I would like to extend my utmost gratitude to my immediate family, most particularly my friend, partner, and devoted wife, Whit Stennett, the Mayoress. She has been a treasured blessing to me since we met in 1960. Gwen has encouraged, supported, and participated in every step of this process. We share two beautiful daughters, Patricia and Angela, and three wonderful granddaughters, Nikisha, Shanique, and Imogen. All have been tools of inspiration, and in many ways, the things I do are not only for them, but also for the betterment of this community. To my relatives and friends from Jamaica and America, who came to share in this most memorable occasion, I much like to thank you. Equally as important as those people from London, Birmingham, Leeds, and Oldham. Like the friends from Manchester, our links have been merged in a number of ways, and I know our lives have been enriched because we are people who dwell together in unity. I would also like to acknowledge my parents, who, although have passed on, instilled in us that any task, however lowly or lofty, involves prayer, patience, preparation, and perseverance. In addition to those virtues, they use many old Jamaican adages, such as a closed hand lets nothing in. The more you give is the more one gets. And in giving, you can never be used because the act of giving creates blessings from God. For me, my most treasured saying is, the patient man ride donkey. These are some of the lessons I have learned, and they have made me into the man you see here today. Other influences in my life worthy of acknowledgement are the people of Discovery Bay in St. Anne, Jamaica. My earliest socialization skills were learned in this very rural fishing and farming community. Unlike now, there were no amenities like running water, electricity, telephones, or supermarkets. On many occasions, I can remember that even when the rain was falling, the dirty was tough. And sometimes when the pot was boiling, the food wasn't enough. Those situations were mere blips and could not hinder the community spirit. We cared for each other from the cradle to the grave. Our family links and friendships were well cemented. This was influential in my decision to work in a vocation where people are central, especially at the grassroots level. Resourcefulness, resilience, patience, and thriftiness are all characteristics that are evident within the Jamaican working classes. These are the necessary tools for overcoming obstacles and turning them into stepping stones for success and a better tomorrow. I am reminded of these words etched in a stained glass window. Traveler, there is no path. Footsteps make paths. Being a Jamaican, it is vital to remember the journeys of previous African Caribbeans who forged a way through history. To ignore that historical link would be to continue along the highways of ignorance and reinforces what the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the founding father of Jamaica, said. A race who has no understanding of themselves or their history is like a tree without roots or branches. Therefore, I made mention of a few mentors: Marcus Garvey, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., Clive Lloyd, Viv Richards, Louise Lacacodia, Diane Model, and Paula Don Thomas. Their contributions have been indelibly woven into a society. Needless to say, there are numerous other heroes and heroines who have crossed all divides and have stood against oppression, tyranny, and ignorance. Some of my most influential mentors, who are also members of the Old Trafford community, includes the late Aston Douglas, the late George Blissett, and the late Cyril Hughes. Some of my current heroes are Andrea Jones, Tony Dorrans, Bashir Chowdhury, Lillian Monday, and countless others. Well, it's going to take me all night to name them. Do you want me to name them? Guards, security guards, lock the doors. These people are mine. Let's play ball. Nobody does it like we do. Achoo. Of course, I'm talking about my beloved sport, cricket.
Yes.
If it weren't for the British teaching us, we wouldn't know how to play the sport. But we have taught them how to enjoy it. Who can forget those little pals of mine, Ramadin and Valentine? And of course, the Lancaster and Jim Coons. It was through Jim's example that I perfected the art of bowling line and length. And it is with this sense of accuracy and precision that I intend to represent the community. Yes. People of Old Trafford, it has been my privilege living with you for the past 40 years. Now you have chosen me to represent you as your mayor, the first citizen for the Trafford Borough. I am truly honored. My first affiliation with local government began in 1993 when I was elected to represent the Clifford ward. You showed your willingness to look above and beyond the narrow confines of race, ethnicity, class, and religious affiliation. This is also amply reflected in the council chamber, where my colleagues from all sides have always been supportive and encouraging. Being here tonight is a testimony of that support. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I began this speech by alluding to tonight being a defining moment in my life as first citizen for the Borough of Trafford. With your support and God's help, I remain steadfast in my commitment to carry out the duties that are demanded of me for the coming year. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me here tonight. I hope you have enjoyed this wonderful occasion. I certainly have. I would like to thank all the people who were involved in making this special night so successful. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of the evening. And when you leave here, walk good, no make foul much.